Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Mother Healed and Whole Open Forum on Motherhood and Mental Health. My name is Candace Phillips, and I am a transformation life coach that focuses on promoting emotional healing, mental growth, and spiritual transformation. And I am excited to be able to join you all tonight to talk to you about women's mental health, especially moms, in honor of both maternal mental health as well as Mother's Day, as well as Mental Health Awareness Month. And I want to invite you into the conversation to be able to ask questions that you may have, share some of your experiences as moms when dealing with stress, anxiety, unresolved traumas and pains, and a host of other things. And I would just kind of be sharing my story as it relates to maternal mental health, some of the struggles that I faced after becoming a mom, and equipping you with some resources that will be available to you as you pursue this thing called motherhood, as you intend to become a mother one day, and just being able to position yourself properly to be the healthiest you, spirit, soul, and body, for you, as well as your children, as well as your potential partner, who you will be sharing the responsibility of parenting with. And so I am very, very excited to have you guys join us on tonight. And so I just wanted to kind of get into it. So, of course, as I said, my name is Candace Phillips. I am a master's level human services professional. I graduated with my master's in May of 2013 and have been fully just kind of building my reputation by supporting individuals in the social services field as a case manager, as a crisis case manager, as a youth worker for young women who had been committed to the juvenile justice system, but we had put them in a group home to basically rehabilitate them, overcome like some of their traumatic experiences to help them be assimilated back into society, so that they could have functional lives. And from that, I branched out and started my journey with promoting mental health and healing, on a more primary basis, as a way to communicate God's desire for each and every one of us to walk in his healing, to walk in wholeness, and to walk in freedom in Christ Jesus. It is definitely not God's will for us to walk sick, be worried, be stressed out. But he wants us to experience newness. He wants us to experience wholeness. He wants us to experience joy, peace, and abundance. And so with my own journey and my own traumas, even though I was a professional, I had some situations where my mental health was impacted as a new mom and as someone who had experienced several traumas, from being a victim of sexual assault to being in some very unhealthy relationships. And then, of course, entering into motherhood completely blind and unprepared, and having a story that was not very inviting for the coming of a baby when I was about 24 years old. And so research shows that the months preceding the birth of a child are very, very pivotal in that woman's journey, to cultivate that support system, to have the available resources, to create a space that is full of peace and joy and happiness for her. And for myself, those months prior to the delivery of my daughter were full of changes and cycles. And the only thing that kept me during the time when I was pregnant with my daughter was the simple fact of my relationship with God. As my belly was growing, my relationship with God was growing, because I was tested and tried in that season after the father of my daughter had abandoned me in the 4th month of my pregnancy. And, you know, we parted ways during my pregnancy, and it wasn't again until I saw him 2 days after I delivered my daughter. And of course, at that point, I had forgiven him, and I moved forward into trying to pursue something with him. And so, on top of the environment that was cultivated prior to my relationship with him, or prior to the birth of my daughter, it clearly created an atmosphere or a space of extreme stress and worry that was there, which could be a risk factor for postpartum depression. And what we call that is, and that is primarily the perinatal state. That's the state before the birth of the baby, and postnatal is post having the baby. And so you want to be mindful of the environment that you have established for yourself when you're considering pregnancy, while you're pregnant, and what it's going to look like preceding that pregnancy, to cultivate an environment that is safe, that is friendly for not just you, but for your baby and for those around you. And that was something I had to learn when after clearly I was pregnant, and once I received treatment for myself, but also in my graduate program, I studied the effects of postpartum depression in maternal mental health, and the research was there, and I identified strategies and supports to be able to help women to prepare themselves to be healed and to be whole for their children, and to establish those relationships with their children, especially seeing the effects that postpartum depression had on me, coupled with unresolved trauma that was prevalent. So unresolved trauma on top of the birth of a baby and the circumstances surrounding it, for me, made it very likely that I was going to experience postpartum depression, which I did. And leaving it unresolved further impacted me in my ability to live, laugh, love, and learn over time. It infected, in course, affected the relationships that I had with people, because of course, once you begin to develop symptoms of anxiety or depression or PTSD, it begins to do a lot of damage. It changes the condition of your mind. It changes the condition of your heart. It just shifts so much in your life. And that's why I encourage you as women to become healed and to become whole, and to seek all of the services that are available to you right now. The topic of mental health is very important. The topic of healing or mental well-being is important. And I just want to offer you the opportunity to let you know that help is available, healing is available, and it is your priority to heal well and not allow your children to pay for the pains of your past and the unresolved issues of your mental health challenges. And so I just want you to become the healed version of yourself, which is the reason why we have this forum tonight, to talk about being a mother healed and whole. Okay, and so let's kind of get into the facts beyond my story. So research shows that 1 in 10 women develop a mental illness during the perinatal and postnatal periods, which were the periods that I stated. But a lot of us, like myself, do not report the signs and symptoms because, of course, stigma. or the lack of awareness. A lot of people just feel like they're tired, they're overwhelmed because of what's happening. But that can be a significant indicator for individuals who may be experiencing some sort of mental health challenge, especially if it has persisted for longer than 2 weeks consistently, and you starting to see a change in mood. People are starting to notice some concerns about you. That's typically a sign to say, hey, I need to get some help, for you to step up and say, okay, something is different about me. That can look like you just having a baby and not being that engaged to that baby's cues. So if a baby is crying or cooing, but you're so zoned out because of the depression and anxiety, that's an indicator that there is a concern related to postpartum depression. You may experience some irritability that may come with a frustration from the baby crying extensively. Those are signs associated and symptoms associated with postpartum depression. And it is very important that when you recognize those signs in yourself or someone else you know, to let them know that you're there, let them know that help is available, and help them to develop a plan that is going to help them recover and be in a place of healing and wholeness to be able to raise that child and support that child in a healthy environment. And so, as I stated before, several things can be risk factors that a new mom or a returning mom or soon-to-be mom can be affected by. That increases one's chances of postpartum depression or PTSD or anxiety. And like I said, that's finances, home life, relational life, daily stress, unresolved traumas, and more can lead to mental and emotional concerns in the lives of women. And as I shared in my own story, there was some relational issues, there were some issues financially, there was daily stress, and of course there was unresolved trauma from previous seasons of my life that preceded the birth of my child, and continued stresses and traumas after the birth of my child that further facilitated the enhanced impact of postpartum depression. And so it is vitally important to take action when you know it's there and have a support system lined up. Some of the most common mental health concerns amongst women is anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, and as always, post-traumatic stress disorder. Again, many of the symptoms are similar and can occur at the same time, and can be hard to identify them in our lives. But I just shared with you guys examples on what those mental health concerns may look like if you are a new mom in need of help, in need of healing. And again, that is ignoring infant cues, irritability when that baby's crying, feeling withdrawn from your infant, not feeling that attachment that should be there between a new mom and her baby, especially after carrying the baby for 9 months. There should be some sort of connection that should be there. And if you notice it's not, time to go get help. And so, if you're one who's concerned about whether you're experiencing some sort of mental health challenge, there are so many resources available to help you identify and assess for mental health challenges as a mom. And those are typically what we call a PHQ-9, which is a questionnaire that assesses for anxiety and depression. There's the Eden-Burns postnatal depression scale, which is typically what they give you at that 6-week follow-up appointment to assess for your risk of postpartum depression and anxiety. And I encourage you to get the help you need by being honest on that assessment, because only you know what you are experiencing. And if you're not honest with yourself, you not only impact your life, but you impact the life of that developing baby. In those first few months, first few years, that baby's life is very important. And we want you to be healthy, healed, and whole. And so it's important to be honest with yourself about what you're going through on that PHQ-9, on that Edensburg postnatal depression scale, and on that GAD-7 that they're going to give you. And those are the top 3 assessment tools that medical providers, therapists, counselors utilize in helping you to identify if there are some sort of concerns that you need to be taking precautions about. You could typically get those assessments through your primary care provider, again, a therapist, psychiatrist, a nurse, mental health specialist, or even your OBGYN at that 6-week appointment. And so as moms, it is important that we really take care of ourselves. And so you may be wondering, like, what are some recovery plan options for myself? Of course, therapy is one. Talk therapy is one big one. You can also do meditation. There are so many self-help tools for moms out here that you can utilize to kind of promote or accelerate your healing journey. That looks like cognitive behavioral workbooks. Cognitive behavioral workbooks are workbooks that focus on your mindset, shifting your mindset so that your behavior kind of follows suit to the renewed mindset. And there are so many tools available. Aromatherapy is good. Aromatherapy is a great complementary therapy that is available for you to be able to improve your mood in complement to meditation and talk therapy, and just kind of journaling. Those are a lot of different recovery plan options for you. Being able to kind of take an assessment of your diet changes, getting out and walking for maybe 10-15 minutes a day, maybe put that baby in a stroller, buckle up, and go take a nice walk, especially if you have a baby in the summertime after that first 6 weeks. And then just kind of building yourself into a community of people that's going to support you, that's going to love you. Get in a new mom support group, get in a church group, find you some people that are going to uplift you and support you. Community is important. Therapy is important. Your faith in a Christ-centered church or circle is important, and it will help you. And so I just want to encourage you to take action, to identify the signs and symptoms, and to know that your investment in your mental well-being as a mother or soon to be mother will be the best gift you can give your baby, because a hurt mother can't fully be available like a healed mother. And I want to encourage you to be that healed mother who is whole and full of joy, abundance, and peace, so that you can cultivate that baby's life and break the generational cycles that typically come when an infant is birthed in an environment that is unsafe, that is unhealthy. And so with you taking action, being preventative, taking early intervention steps, and situating yourself to walk in healing and freedom, you give that baby a chance to experience a life that you may not have had, and you improve the odds for that child to not be impacted by their own mental health challenges, such as ODD, oppositional defiance disorder, and things like that. Because typically when children grow up in environments where the mom is a bit deals with mental health challenges and they're disconnected, that child can in tune grow up with some behavioral concerns and a host of other things that I found in some of the research in my graduate program. And I just want you guys to know that the steps that you take can be the biggest blessing for your child and for the generation of up and coming babies and youth in our society today. And so I just want to encourage you to take action. And if you are someone in need of support, needing resources, there are a few contacts that you can reach out to, such as text. You can text home to the crisis text line at 741-741. There is always the suicide prevention hotline, which is 1-800-272-TALK. There is also the PSI hotline, which is, of course, this is specifically geared towards mental health, maternal mental health, and their number is 1-800-944-4773, or you can text them at 503-894-9453 and visit them online at thenationalperinatal.org. And if you are in need of support, mental health coaching, mental health first aid, self-care and aromatherapy, and self-care, self-paced online courses, you can definitely reach out to me. Stay connected to me by visiting my website at simplycandicemarie.co or at cmhealingessentials.com, because it is definitely a time to heal, a time to be restored, and a time to really come into the moms and wives that the Bible is commanding us to be. It is fully possible to be the healed version of ourselves, and we don't have to give our children the broken parts of us. We don't have to give our husbands the broken parts of us. There is help available. There is healing available. And I just want to encourage you all to get the help that you need. Being ashamed of the stigma associated with a mental health challenge is nothing in comparison to the impact that an unresolved mental health challenge could have on your life and your children's life and the generations to come life. So just taking action now will help to reduce the risk for your children and your children's children and generations to come in our communities, in our society. So I thank you guys for watching. And if you have any questions, any comments, please comment below. Send me an email at Candice@simplycandicemarie.co, or just send me a message here on Facebook and I will be sure to answer your questions, offer you the support you need, and get you on the path towards healing and wholeness in Christ Jesus as mothers and women of God. So I love you guys. God bless, and happy Thursday and happy Mother's Day to you all. God bless.